I object to the fact that I never heard of this part of history before. Hey everyone, this is Rabbitearsblog and welcome to my in-theater movie review series. So today's movie I'll be reviewing today is The Trial of the Chicago 7. And before I get into my thoughts about this film, here are a few words on the channel. Hey guys, if you want to check out more content from this channel, then tune in every Sunday and Monday for new videos. And if you happen to see any videos posted up during the week, that means that there was a bit of movie and TV news that I wanted to talk about, so those will be considered special videos. And if you want to chat with me on social media or see when new videos are being released, then follow me through Twitter and Facebook. And also, please feel free to join the new Facebook group, Rabbitearsblog Reviews 2.0, where we talk about movies, TV shows, and video games with other fans of the genres. And now, we return to our regularly scheduled program. So the film starts off with a group of protesters called the Chicago 7, who were trying to do a peaceful protest during the 1968 National Democratic Convention. But unfortunately, this ended up inciting a riot, which ended up with the Chicago 7 going up to court, and it turns out that they're being charged with conspiracy, and the film is spent on the Chicago 7 trying to prove their innocence while going through the courtroom procedures throughout the film. So, I have a confession to make. I will admit that when I first heard about this film, I actually wasn't planning on watching this film because, one, it's a biopic, and I usually don't watch a lot of films that are biopics, and two, I thought that this film was going to have a lot of political content in it, and usually I don't watch a lot of films that has too much political content in it. But after I heard that a lot of my fellow movie reviewers actually enjoyed this film, and also because this film was based off a part of history that I wasn't aware of, I actually decided to watch this movie, and man was I happy to watch this movie. As I mentioned before, this movie was based off a part of history that I wasn't aware of. Like, I was taught a lot of things in history classes when I was going to school, but I was never taught about the Chicago 7 and what was going on during that period. And that really interested me because I really like to know more about the parts of history that I'm not well aware of. And I found it interesting that I didn't know anything about the Chicago 7 before I watched this movie. So I actually did go on the internet to try to find information about the Chicago 7. And lo and behold, there's actually a bit of information about the Chicago 7, and I wish that I knew about this part of history years ago. But I'm glad that this movie was made, and the fact that we have a movie that goes over a part of history that wasn't talked about a lot was really interesting to me. I also love how relevant this film is. Like, this film was made during a time where we're in the middle of lots of protests against the police, and this film is also about protesting against the police and the National Guard and how the protesters are trying to go up against the Vietnam War. Like, I was aware of the history about the Vietnam War and about the protesting that was going against the Vietnam War, so I'm glad that we actually have a film that took place during the Vietnam War and how people were protesting against it and what was going on during that time. But what really sold this movie to me was the dialogue itself. I don't think the movie would have worked out so well if it wasn't for the dialogue itself. The dialogue was very interesting and it hit close to home to me. Like, you have these characters who come together and they're trying to decide about how they're going to prove their innocence during this protest, and how they're trying to prove to the court that they were just doing a peaceful protest, but things just got out of hand and they didn't mean for things to get out of hand like that. They were just voicing their opinions against the Vietnam War. And I really like that aspect of these characters, is that they're trying to do the right thing, but of course things went out of hand and they ended up in court for it. But I'm glad that these characters are trying to stand up for what they believe is right. And it's interesting to see how the protests were going back in the 1960s compared to now. So I like the fact that we get to see all that unfold through this movie. I also really like the characters themselves. Like, my favorite character was Sacha Baron Cohen's character, as he plays this comedian who's also a part of the protests, and we get to see that he believes in what he's doing is right, and he wants to have a peaceful protest, but of course things get out of hand, and he brings in some comedy in the film, but he's also able to act serious whenever he needs to. And I really like Sacha Baron Cohen's acting in this film, as he's able to play a funny man, but he's also able to be serious at the same time, so it shows how well his acting abilities is in this film, and I really enjoy seeing that aspect of his character in this film. I was also really interested in the character of Seeley, as he's the black black man who was accused of killing a police officer. And I was interested in seeing his story because we get to see how the black community were being treated during the 1960s, and we see it all through his character. So I like the fact that we get to see Ceely's character in this movie as well. And I love the fact that this movie takes place mostly in the courtroom, because it's rare that I see movies that take place in the courtroom. Like, I've seen a lot of courtroom dramas on TV that take place in the courtroom, but I rarely see movies that take place in the courtroom. And this movie did a fantastic job at taking place in the courtroom and having the dialogue be so interesting from all the characters that I was really interested in seeing where this was all going to go, if any of the characters were going to go to jail or if they were going to be free. So I was sitting on the edge of my seat trying to figure out what the conclusion of this courtroom case is going to be. Now, if there were any problems that I have with this film, these are very minor problems, but one of the problems I did have was that I felt like we didn't know much about the characters' backgrounds. Like, we see the characters interacting with their family members and their friends outside of the courtroom case, but I felt like the movie could have given us more scenes with the characters interacting with their family members and with their friends outside of the courtroom case, so we get to see what these characters were like before they enter the courtroom case. And I also want to see more from Ceely's character. Like, even though he wasn't a part of the Chicago 7, he was just there because he had a case, but his lawyer wasn't there and he had to represent himself. And I love that aspect of Ceely's character as he was trying to stand up for himself. And I wish that we saw more scenes with Ceely in this movie. Even though he's not a part of the Chicago 7, I would have loved to see more scenes with Ceely and where his story goes in this movie. But overall, I give The Trial of the Chicago 7 a very high watch it. I was surprised that I loved this movie as much as I did. I think this is one of the best films of 2020 so far. I love the fact that this movie takes place mostly in the courtroom setting, and I love the dialogue from the characters, and I thought that the acting from all the characters were very well done, that it kept me on the edge of my seat trying to figure out where this courtroom case is going to go. But I really enjoyed this movie. The acting was fantastic. Everything in this movie was fantastic. So if you love courtroom dramas and films, or you want to watch a film that deals with a part of history that you're not familiar with, then I definitely recommend you checking out The Trial of the Chicago 7. Well, that's my review on The Trial of the Chicago 7. And tell me in the comments down below, have you seen this movie? And if you have, did you like this movie? Did you hate this movie? And what's your favorite movie that takes place in the courtroom? Please feel free to tell me in the comments down below. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is Rabbitearsblog, and I'll see you guys later. Hey guys, like this video? Then please feel free to hit that like button. And also, hit that subscribe button for more content about video games, movies, and TV shows from this channel. And now, let's roll the credits, please.